In this video, we'll be exploring Morse code using splats. So what is Morse code? Before the invention of the telephone, which we all know and we use today, the telegraph was the fastest way for messages to be sent across long distances. The telegraph used pulses of electricity across wire to communicate letters and numbers. The length and number of electrical pulses were formed using a common language, Morse code, named after one of the inventors of Morse code, Samuel Morse. So you can see here in this picture that we have an early version of a telegraph along with the key and the sounder, and we're not going to focus too much on the parts of the telegraph because today's goal is to create our own Morse code using splats. However, back then, someone would be able to tap out their message here, and then a receiving device would be able to interpret what they wrote or said using the Morse code alphabet. I bet a lot of you are confused right now as to, well, how can you interpret a message that's just clicks on a machine? Well, the way the alphabet worked is in Morse code, short and long pulses, written as dots and dashes, are used to form letters and numbers. So using long strings of dots and dashes, people can send full messages to each other using only a wire, a sound, or a blinking light. So until other methods of communication became more common, so thank goodness we have cell phones and telephones and computers now, but back then, Morse code was a very common and important way for messages to be sent. So today, Morse code is still used as an emergency backup all over the world. And here you can see an example of the Morse code alphabet. So you can see that the letter A is a dot followed by a dash, and then each letter and number that we commonly use has its own sequence of dots and dashes. Here we have the Morse code alphabet written out in our own Unruly way. At Unruly, we often use our Morse code alphabet as a quick reference so that we can send each other secret messages. We can program our splats to send Morse code using flashing lights or with sound. In these particular activities, we're going to be using flashing lights. Because each letter is made with a series of short and long signals, we can build them by turning the splat LED on and off for different lengths of time. Alright, so I have quickly jumped to my Splats web app screen, and today's activity involves sending a signal to someone else, and instead of creating the whole alphabet today, we're just going to be creating the dot and the dash. Remember that we're using lights and not sound, so we're definitely going to need light splat. We're going to need two of them because we need one for dot and one for dash, and we're going to want a delay in between because we want to show that one light is longer, the dash, and one light is shorter, which is the dot. So we're going to light splat one with the color green, but you can make it any color you want. We're going to delay it for half a second, and this will be our dot. Then we want to turn the light off. So I'm going to take the same thing, and I'm going to set it to off. And then we want a delay afterwards to show that our dot has ended and we're ready to begin either another dot or a new dash. So let's set that to 0.75 seconds. So this will be our dot, and our dash will have to be longer, and so I'm going to set it for 1.5 seconds. We want to do the same thing, turn the light off. So you can either go back into the panel and pull out a new block, or you can remember that you can duplicate it, and we're gonna turn it off again. So since we duplicated, we didn't even have to set this ourselves, and then delay it for 0.75 seconds. So this light will be our dot, and this light will be our dash. Once you create your own dot and dash, congratulations! You have created the foundation for every single number and letter of the Morse code alphabet. Let's get started sending our first message using Morse code and splats. We're going to be sending the message SOS. It's both easy to remember and easy to send. So SOS means help, emergency. Whoever is sending out an SOS is asking for someone to come and help them. In Morse code, an S is represented by 3 dots and an O is represented by 3 dashes. This is a great time to pause the video if you want to try creating your message by yourself first before following along. You can see that the screen has quickly change, and that's because I decided to give myself more space to work with. You can do that by zooming in and out. I'm going to zoom back out. So this is my dot, and I know that because the light will only flash for 0.5 seconds versus 1.5. My dash is the longer light. So in SOS, the S is 3 dots and the O is 3 dashes. So I'm going to need to duplicate this set of blocks 3 times for my first S and then 3 more times for my second S. I'm going to quickly duplicate these blocks by grabbing the when program starts, and I'm going to do that for both so that when I duplicate them, I'll duplicate all the blocks inside. So for my S, I'm going to need 3 of these. 1, 2, 3. And this is just how I prefer to do it, but you can do it any way you want to. There's no wrong way to do this. So I'm going to make sure I take these out. I'm going to unsnap them from the when program starts because I don't need these. And then I'll snap these together. And this is my letter S. So I know I need 2 S's, so I'm just going to grab another one of these and I'll duplicate the whole set. So now I have 2 letter S's. I'll unsnap them. So when my program starts, my first S will appear. I'm going to move this down so that I don't confuse myself. And now I need 3 dashes to represent my O. So I'm going to duplicate these. There's 1 set, 2, and then 3. I'm going to make sure I unsnap these, get rid of the blocks I don't need, and then put my dashes together, my 3 dashes, in order to create my letter O. Before we snap our letters together to create our SOS, we need to remember that we have to add a delay in between our letters so that our message actually makes sense to our receiver. So when the program starts, I want the letter S followed by a 1-second delay, then the letter O, followed by another 1-second delay, and then our final letter S. And I'm going to go back up here and I'm just going to toss these so that our program doesn't get confused. And then here is our message. When the program starts, SOS. And I know it looks like a lot, but once you figure out the trick of duplicating, it's very simple to create any letter of the alphabet or number that you want. And just make sure you stay organized and give yourself room. Let's run our program and see how it looks. It looks great. Our splat is doing exactly what we told it to. It's lighting up green, and it's staying green either for a short amount of time, which represents our dots, or a longer amount of time, which represents our dashes. So I want to see you get started on your own SOS and follow along in our next video where we're going to build the entire Morse code alphabet.